Hi everyone, my name is Amber, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to Bookmas. I'm uploading every day up until Christmas. I will leave a playlist for my Bookmas videos down below so you can go and check out the rest of them. Without further ado, let's get on with this video. So I have a few disappointing books from 2021 that I want to talk about. I normally leave these kinds of videos up until the beginning of the following year just in case there are any more, but this is the kind of video that I don't really want to wait on just because I don't think it's as exciting as my best books or worst books videos. This is just disappointing. I'm talking about all my disappointments of the year, so it's a bit depressing and I just wanted to get out of the way. So I have 13 books to talk about today, the first one being A Beginning at the End. So I DNF'd this one. I read some other Mike Chen books. I only read one. I read Here and Now and Then, I think it's called, and I really enjoyed that one. That was a time travel one, and this, I believe, was supposed to be like some kind of science fiction, and I had really high hopes for it, but I just could not get into the writing style. I don't know what happened, so I think I DNF'd it at about 20% because I just didn't care for the characters and the writing was just not pulling me in. So that was really disappointing because it's one of my favorite genres and tropes, and I genuinely thought that I was going to enjoy it, but I just didn't. So I've put Mike Chen kind of on the back burner for now. Normally I give authors kind of 3 tries before deciding to give up on them, but for now I've put his books aside and I will check them out eventually, but not right now. Then we have The Bands of Mourning, which I finally finished this year. I knew that I wasn't going to enjoy this one all that much because I haven't loved Mistborn Era 2. I was still hoping. I was hoping that the ending was going to be really good because everyone had been talking about the ending to this one. It wasn't, and also bloody Twitter spoiled me for part of the ending, and I realised this book has been out for a few years now, but people are still actively reading this series, so can you please not post spoilers on Twitter? It's really shitty of you. Anyway, really annoys me when people assume that everyone has read their favourite series and they end up posting spoilers. But anyway, I really don't enjoy, well, I kind of enjoy Era 2, but it's just not as good as the first era, and I don't think anything can beat that really, so I am going to finish it off, but this book was still disappointing to me because it's nowhere near as good as the first 3 books. They're actually fantastic. I don't know what Brandon Sanderson is doing here because it's just not as good. Then we have The Other Black Girl, which is a thriller, and this was really hyped at the beginning of the year and I was really excited to read it, but it turned into kind of, I know that every black thriller book at the moment is being compared to Get Out, but that's kind of what this felt like, and I feel like that's one of the only reasons it was picked up. I don't think the writing style in this was very good, and it's not really my type of thriller, like the Get Out sort of thing. It appeals to me if I'm prepared for it, but in this one I wasn't. I thought this was going to be like a murder mystery thriller sort of thing set in a publishing house, but that's not what this was, so it was quite disappointing. Another thriller that disappointed me was Quiet in Her Bones by Nalini Singh. So I've read her Psy Changeling books, at least some of them. I think I'm up to like books 6 or 7. I'm doing a reread though because I want to listen to Mara from Books Like Woes podcast, and I've reread the first one, listened to that episode, and now I need to finish book 2, my reread of book 2, so I can carry on listening to the podcast. You know what I'm trying to say. Anyway, I really enjoy these books, so I was really excited to receive an advanced reader's copy of Quiet in Her Bones because I think it's her second thriller book, if I'm not mistaken. I think she wrote one last year as well. This was just so boring. Like, quiet is a really good way of describing it. It was so dull and it took absolutely forever for me to get through, and I don't think the payoff was worth all of that boredom, so I didn't enjoy it, but I'm just gonna stick to her paranormal books, I think. Beach Read is another one that really disappointed me. Please don't get angry at me. I think this was really misrepresented. So I thought it was going to be a cute, fun, beachy romance, but instead it seemed to be more of a grief-stricken, dark contemporary set on a lake. At least I think it was set on a lake. It wasn't really spoken about that much. The setting was not clear, and that's why it disappointed me. I thought this was going to be a really good summer book, but it wasn't. It was just kind of dark and grim, and I was honestly expecting better from it because of the hype. I don't know if I'll read her Emily Henry's other contemporary books. Let me know if you think they're worth it. I know that People We Meet on Vacation has been disappointing some people, but because I was disappointed by Beach Read anyway, maybe I'm going in with like better expectations than everyone else was. The Initial Insult by Mindy McGuinness was also really disappointing because I normally love her as an author, but this one was just really bad. I don't know if it's because she's gone for an Edgar Allan Poe retelling and I haven't read any of his stuff yet, and I know that it's the first book in a duology, but maybe it would have been better if it was compact into one book maybe, and she hadn't tried so hard to be weird, but maybe Poe's work is also a bit weird, so it's probably quite hard to adapt and amend it. I don't know, but I didn't like this one. I gave it 2 stars, I think. Take Me Home Tonight by Morgan Matson was also disappointing to me, which is a shame because I often say that she's one of my all-time favorite authors, but this YA contemporary book just was not the same. It included some really like out there stuff, and I didn't love the main characters either, and it took quite a while to get into. So once I was past the first 150 pages or so, it flew by, but the first 150 was just so boring and it really dragged on, so that disappointed me a lot. Although I still gave it 3 stars, I still really enjoyed it. It's just my least favourite of her books, I think. The Death of Vivek Oji was absolutely horrendous to me. I went into it expecting to be really upset and for it to be an incredible book about a Nigerian man finding himself, and that's not really what I got at all. So I can't really say what things about it disappointed me without going into spoilers, and it's questionable as to whether they're spoilers or not, to be honest. So go and read some Goodreads reviews. But one thing that I will mention that I really didn't like was the fact that there was incest in here, and it was promoted or portrayed positively as though it was actually romantic. And I realised they were only first cousins, but that's still not okay. And it still gave me creepy vibes, and I really didn't like it. And I hate that romance, or what was supposed to be a romance, was in this book and was portrayed positively because of some other representation that's in there. I'm really sorry, I'm trying not to spoil it, so I'm not going to go into any more detail, but go and read some reviews with spoilers if you want to know more. Rich People Problems was also really boring. This is the third book in the Crazy Rich Asians trilogy, which before this book I was loving. It was so funny and all over the place and messy, but then this book, I think the author just went too far and he wasn't doing a very good job of keeping like the plot together. So even though the characters were over the top as usual and a lot of fun to read about, I was just having trouble following it, and the plot was just so out there that I did not enjoy it. Sorry if there has been an angle change. My memory card filled up, which has never happened to me before, so that's exciting. It's all of these Bookmas videos. Next we have Serpent and Dove, which I gave 1 star. I honestly hated this book, and there has been so much hype surrounding it because it's such a popular YA series about a witch and a witch hunter being forced into an arranged marriage, and then the two of them finding out what the other is. I just thought it was really poorly written, and I didn't like the ship, and I think the ship was probably meant to be the main appeal of the book, but I didn't like it, so that was really disappointing. The next 3 books are actually all romance books, and I think this is trying to tell me that I expect too much from romance, or I just don't like the same romances that everyone else likes. So first of all, we had The Layover, which is actually I think a debut for this year, and I was expecting something really fun and set in I think it's the Caribbean. The main characters are flight attendants and they have a layover in the Caribbean for like 3 days or something before heading back. And the main character was just so awful and whiny that I really could not get on board with the romance because she was just awful, so I hated it. Then there is One True Loves, which is, that's actually not a romance, this is a YA contemporary. And this is by the author of Happily Ever Afters, which I read last year, I think, and really enjoyed. It was a really strong debut about a teenager who wants to be a writer and a teenage boy who is a baker, and I loved it. But One True Loves is set on a cruise ship, and I thought this was going to be really exciting, and we'd see the characters going around the Mediterranean and falling in love like that and visiting some really cool places, but that's not really what this was. It turned into a bit of a drama with, again, really whiny but also boring characters, so I didn't like this one, and I was expecting to, so that is a shame because I really enjoyed her debut, but that was definitely her stronger one. So if you want to check out something by this author, I'd recommend checking out Happily Ever Afters rather than One True Loves. And finally, the one that is probably going to annoy everyone, and probably already has because I posted a rant review for this one, and that is The Hating Game. I was expecting to love this one, and my friend Kayla bought it for me, bless her, but it turned out to be absolutely awful. The characters hated each other, which was obvious from the title, but it was actually like, it seemed like spiteful hate rather than like rivalry, frenemies hate, if that makes sense. And the main character, the female Lucy, was just a complete bitch the entire way through, particularly in the beginning. And then Josh was controlling and abusive, and he called himself a jealous psychopath at one point, and that pretty much sums him up. So I hated this book. I'm so sad that it turned out this way because I was expecting to love it, but that's why it's on this disappointed list, most disappointed list. So those are the 13 books that most disappointed me this year so far. Hopefully there aren't any more. I'm putting this video out a little bit earlier than normal to kind of put good vibes into the universe, and I really hope there aren't any more books that end up disappointing me in this way. But there probably will be more because I am me. I get my expectations up way too high sometimes. On the plus side, none of my 5-star predictions have disappointed me yet, but I haven't done a video talking about those in quite a while. I need to do a wrap up at some point, but those are going well, so don't worry about me. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed it. Don't forget to check out the rest of my Bookmas videos. I will leave a playlist down below. Tell me in the comments which books have disappointed you this year, and I'll speak to you all in the next one. Bye.